Thank you so much for the break. Coming back, and it's 6:30, and we had just a few items left. But our last business under new business is Height Associates from Greenville, who are architects, engineers, and in technology business. Big part of their business is schools. They've done several projects here in Wayne County. They've done many projects throughout the state of North Carolina, many through eastern North Carolina. Very well known, both from the here in the, as commissioners, or I guess more well known with the Board of Education because of the buildings that he has, or the company that he works with in Greenville has done here locally. And the plans that were passed out last Tuesday when the commissioners voted on version 2, the plans were designed after a school in Johnston County that I was granted to have by the county superintendent and their maintenance person in to show the commissioners. But as I passed them out, it seemed like there was a lot of confusion, and of course in Sunday's paper there was more confusion, and I got several calls about not understanding exactly what went on at the meeting. So I asked Mr. Jimmy Height if he would come tonight and explain, or basically just go over what what I gave you this past Tuesday. So this time I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Jimmy Height. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I appreciate the invitation to come and speak with you about our work. We're very proud of it, and our history in Johnson County and Wayne County and other counties in eastern North Carolina. I've prepared a series of slides, and you've got the handouts, and what I'd like to do is just talk through these slides with you. The purpose of this presentation is to show you what we have done in other places and how it might be applied to a project or projects that you're considering. Could I get you to, Ms. Wilson, to change these slides for me? Go to the next slide, please. Anyway, we're asked to provide information on how our designs for elementaries and middles on the same site, on a shared site, might apply to your property located in the Grantham community. And we completed 3 of these dual school arrangements, 2 in Johnson County, 1 in Beaufort County, where middles and elementaries on the same site. We've also planned 2 additional situations like this, 1 in Johnson where the elementary school is complete, waiting on the middle school, and in Vance County, the middle school is complete, waiting on the elementary school. Next slide. But the school that I think you had referenced was the Riverwood project in Johnson County. Riverwood project was built about 12 years ago. There's a middle school and an elementary school on the same property, and interestingly enough, the property is about the same size as your property in the Grantham community. Next slide. This is the site plan layout. You can see it's similar to the aerial. The middle's on the left-hand side, the elementary's on the right-hand side. There are ball fields associated with the middle school. Typically, we would construct a combination football, soccer field, baseball field, and a softball field. We would separate the elementary school playgrounds for the younger kids and the older kids, and those happen between the wings. So you see on the left-hand side, the middle school is made up of basically 6 building sections. The ones with the little orange tips are the classroom wings, and I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Same on the elementary school. There are 3 classroom wings, again with the orange tips. What happens in our middle school designs, we've got 3 grades, 6, 7, and 8, so each one of those gets a wing. So you'll see 3 wings for the middle. On the elementary side, K through 5, again, there's 6 grades, so each wing gets 2 grades. Next slide. Again, here's the aerial. Riverwood, the schools were built in 2001. The combined construction cost, including the site work, was $16,500,000.
Let's go back.
So, let's go back 12 years. We all want to go back 12 years.
Wow. Go back to the future.
Yes, sir. And of course, as you know, Johnson County has been growing fast for a number of years. And one of the unique things about our work there is that we began with a study group back in 1994, made up of our firm, commissioners, school board members, citizens of the county, to develop a way to build schools efficiently that could be added on to easily and be very cost effective, and schools that we could repeat the design, repeat the construction on various sites. And over the last 17 years, we've built 20 schools in Johnson County. It was very successful, very cost effective, and these are the middle and the elementary models used there. The elementary model is very similar to the school that we built for you in Rosewood Elementary School. At any rate, those yellow circles are 4 classroom additions to each of the 6 wings. Three wings on the middle, 3 wings on the elementary, that were designed from the beginning to accommodate those additions, and they were built to expand the capacity of each of those schools at a very minimal cost. If you've noticed, each of those buildings are fairly simple rectangles, and they have A roofs. They're metal roofs. The pitched roofs allow space above the hallways to put platforms, and we use platforms in all of our schools. We put all the mechanical equipment up there, the electrical, the plumbing, the technology wires. It doesn't take up floor space on the ground floor, which is expensive. The actual cost of those platforms is about $20 a square foot, but that is actually included in the overall square foot of the heated space. So when I tell you that this school is so big and it's so much a square foot, I'm not counting any of that utility platform space. It's all incorporated into the cost for the heated space. But at any rate, you can see how it works, and at the end of each of the wings, those pipes and wires are all stubbed out to accept a new addition, be it 2 or 3 years down the road or 25 years down the road. Schools should have a lifespan of at least 50 years. And as you know, some of them extend 100 years or more. But I think it's important that all schools are designed with the ability to add on in an efficient way. Next slide. Yes, sir.
That one slide, please.
Back.
Superintendent over in Johnston County told me what he really liked about that particular platform is that it was so thick and the walls were so thick that when he ran the children and put them in there in hurricanes,
yes, sir,
that it was the safest place there was in the whole place.
It absolutely creates, and I've got some slides, not here, but one of the benefits of having, and I'll show, and then I think the next slide will actually show you that network throughout the schools, but it is a concrete vault. And Rosewood's the same way. It's a concrete vault. You've got 6 inches of reinforced concrete over your head. The block walls are solid reinforced. They're tied to the steel. You know, where we really need, where this is really important, of course, is a tornado. A tornado can rip the roof off this school, but those vaults, those hallway vaults, as long as they've got those doors shut, those kids and those staff people will be safe. This is the slide that actually shows in yellow the systems that we put on those platforms and the fact that they're continuous throughout the hallways. You can see, you know, diagrammed the pipes and wires and things like that. Again, there are several advantages. One of the reasons that our buildings cost less is because we don't have to put as much steel in the roof. And the reason we don't is because those raised concrete platforms are in themselves lateral beams. They eliminate a lot of the cross bracing that's typically required in steel frame construction.
They could walk from one end of the school to the other on that platform, never have to come downstairs, is that right?
Not here.
Not here.
But we have connectors between the buildings, and we use large conduits to feed the pipes and wires through there.
But for
In-
it's just one building then?
We've done elementaries and middles, and all of our high schools are continuous throughout, so you can go anywhere in the building on that platform.
Okay.
You can design a middle school like that. We did it in Lee County. You can design an elementary like that. We did it in Craven County. Now, the Grantham site, this is kind of a vicinity map. Highway 13 cuts across the slide there, and then the loop road, Grantham community on the left-hand side, and then the loop road, you see the property is between those two roads, and I think it's 46 acres is what that is. Next slide. And here's a little larger view of it. You can see the topography and the soils. The pink soils aren't as good as the ones that are not colored. The rain soils there are on the high end of the site. They're fine in this situation. They're transitional soils. The wetter soils are to the upper left. There's some wooded area there. We don't know enough about that right now to be able to tell you exactly what we think we'd have to do in terms of how much earth we'd have to take out, but it's an excellent, excellent site overall. There is a blue line stream. You'll see that on the next slide, and we have accommodated for that in the layout. If this looks similar to Riverwood, it's because it is similar to Riverwood. The sites are about the same size. You'll see at the bottom of the page the elementary facing the middle at the top of the page. And again, the arrangement of athletic fields, soccer, football, baseball, and softball. There is a cell tower, as you're probably all aware, at the upper left-hand corner of the site. We've done a couple school sites with those cell towers. We don't obviously want to put buildings in the fall zone, so we've got playing fields there. And we've got a connector system where on the right-hand side you'll see a connector road from 13 at the top down to Loop Road at the bottom. On the left-hand side you will see a bus road that comes off of Loop Road, does not connect with 13, but it services the bus lots that are located on the left-hand side of each of the schools. Now, the automobile traffic would come in one or both directions on the right-hand side, that drive that connects 13 and Loop Road, and enter the loop, the automobile drop-off pickup loop that's between those schools. It's very convenient for moms and dads that have kids in both schools. They just go around and pick them up at the front door. Bus riders, same things. They've got two convenient locations to pick up kids at either school. Here's a little bit larger view of the middle school floor plan. Again, you'll see that we have a wing for each of the three grades, 6, 7, and 8, and each of those grade wings has the opportunity for expansion. You'll see that the dotted lines indicate where the new classrooms or future classrooms at whatever time they would be needed could be added. The front building is administration and library, the media center. There are some classrooms in that location for our special populations kids, also meeting rooms, computer labs in that section of the building. Each of the wings has their own computer lab. Each of them has 2 science labs. In a school of 400 to 500 or 300 to 400, as this is, we see STEM and programs like STEM becoming prevalent, and we've got 2 rooms, one for science, the other one for that kind of thing, project-based learning or STEM, things of that nature. The 8th grade wing actually has a space that we call careers, introduction to careers. So if you see that 8th grade wing, there's one room that's a little bit larger than the others, and that's intended for that piece of the curriculum. The building at the top is a gymnasium. That particular gymnasium seats about 650 to 670 people. It has locker rooms, male and female, and coach's office, athletic storage in the back, which would be the top of the slide, and then it has, along with the cafeteria, an entrance that is right there, right where the arrow is, you can lock off. One of the nice things about the buildings that are that have components that have individuals separate wings is that you can lock off parts of the building. So you can actually use the gym as a separate building. You can use the cafeteria as a separate building for evenings and weekends and holiday events, things like that. At any rate, there's art and music in that gym building. There's a lobby, concessions, restrooms, so it can operate as an independent facility. The same situation on the cafetorium. It's got its own restrooms. We call it a cafetorium because it has a stage at one end and then serving lines and kitchen on the other end, which is the left-hand side. In this particular school, there's a courtyard, and the circulation between all the wings is in a rectangular pattern. And of course, buses are going to drop off, pick up at that gym cafeteria entrance. Automobiles drop off at the front of the school. Next slide. This is a little larger view of the K-5, the elementary school plan. And again, library administration is the center building. And again, we've got special populations, meeting rooms, computer lab, also in that building. We've got, again, 3 classroom wings. In this case, we've got a K1 wing. Our K1 kids have individual boy-girl restrooms between each pair of classrooms. And each of the wings has teacher planning areas, teacher work areas, custodial areas, so they operate almost like a school within a school. We've got a wing for 2nd and 3rd grade. They're on the left-hand side, a wing for 4th and 5th grade. And again, you see the opportunity for future expansion at the ends of each of those 3 wings. Now, the 5th building combines an indoor play space. Elementary school kids don't need a big gym, but they do need about a 4,000 square foot space. It's got a taller ceiling than normal, so they can do the sorts of things that K-5 kids do inside. They also have art and music in that building. Again, there's a separate entrance. That building can be locked off. There's a folding wall between the cafeteria, dining room, and that indoor play space. There is a small stage in that indoor play space, so when that wall is folded back, you can get all the kids in there, and you can have big PTA meetings, things like that. So it's got a lot of flexibility. I think the important thing about having 2 separate schools is not just how you might feel about how, the different ages come together in a school, but you've got, I think, more opportunities to expand where you need it, because you've got 6 wings between the 2 schools, 6 opportunities to add classrooms as you grow in the future. Next slide. Okay, this is the last slide, and just some data about what we have shown you. The elementary that we showed you has a capacity of 750, and we estimate the present building cost to be the size of it times $130 per square foot, which is $94,850, $12,330,500. The middle school, it has a capacity of 410. We estimate the present building cost to be $93,400 times 135 a square foot, or $12,609. Now, we estimate the site cost for both schools to be in the neighborhood. Again, we're working with limited data, although I have to say that your GIS system is as good as anybody's I've seen in the state. We were able to look at the soils, we were able to look at the topography. You give us a little more time, and I might not even need a surveyor. But in the neighborhood of $3 million. So the total construction cost, when you add the building cost and that site cost, and that's a shared site cost, so you're going to save money because you've got one site with 2 schools, $28 million. And the middle school has a core capacity to double in size if you need it, from 410 to 820. The elementary school has a core capacity to increase from 750 to 1,000. Now, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have from what you've seen.
The tower you saw was ours and has a 0 fall radius, so it's not,
Oh,
comes
that's-
down, not out. We own it,
That's great.
just so you know.
Any questions for Mr. Hyde?
Yes, I'm trying to think of some, though. you know, actually went and saw this school over in Johnson County, and I was thoroughly impressed, especially to find that this school was this old, because this school was built back in,
2000,
when was that?
I think it was 2000 or 2001.
2001. So, I mean, it's just amazing how the condition the school is with the age it's on. The other interesting thing, and just to preface this, and that is that, you know, I have found when we got to discussing schools, it kind of reminded me of discussing sanitary districts in Wayne County. You know, it evokes a good bit of discussion and maybe argumentative discussion. You know, my interest here is to try to improve the lot for our children in Grantham that have for years been living and going to school in a school that originally, I believe, dates back to 1920. I was afraid to say it, but 1920. But looking at this is not a K-8. This is two schools on a common campus. And I think we need to call it what it is. And what it is two schools on a common campus. One of the issues I had in making some decision of supporting one plan versus another is if the middle school students in Grantham need a new school because of the deteriorating conditions that exist currently, why in the world would we want to leave our elementary students in those conditions? It just didn't make sense to me. So, and next, in looking at the cost of operating the two schools, if we left the elementary at the current facility, you still have those costs. You would have a cost savings if you went ahead and built two schools on the common campus. It has a great deal of additional benefits in regards to the fact that, you know, if I was a young parent again, I would certainly want to have a school facility where I could drop off my younger child at elementary and also go right next door. I mean, you're in the same campus for the middle school. So those are some advantages. There are a lot of advantages, in my estimation, to this concept. And I think it's proven by the fact that you keep building it over and over and over again. I don't know, I was real pleased with this idea. One of the rubs is the fact that I don't speak politicalese. I'm not a politician. I'm just a plain-spoken individual. And as a plain-spoken individual, sometimes I step on some toes. I would hope that both boards can come together in a short period of time so we can dig some dirt and we can start building and making this a reality. I think we need to kind of set aside maybe our egos a little bit in regards to who came up with this idea before I did or whatever. If this is not the best concept, this is not the best idea, then let's all get in the room and let's find the best concept and the best ideas. The sooner we do it, the more we're going to save, because I think you would agree that costs are only going to escalate. We are just coming out of a recession, and now is the time not only financially to borrow money, but also to build. So we have some time constraints here. I appreciate the fact that you took the time to come here and make a presentation because it enlightened us a great deal more. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Donner, thank you. Or that's your comments then?
I was, comments and all.
Okay. Mr. Page.
I just want to make a comment too, because since I've been sitting here, I've had a couple of emails from parents from the Grantham community, and your presentation answered all those questions anyway. Concerned about, the kids being together, being in the cafeterias together, being in, just being together, and the gyms, that kind of thing. Again, this is two separate schools. That solves that issue. The younger kids are separated from the older kids, and there's a lot of protection there. And I think that's a huge concern of a lot of the parents, because they want a school, but they want to make sure their kids are safe. This solves that problem, and you explained it very well, and I appreciate that. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, I too went to look at this school in Johnson County, Riverwood. But the facilities director for Johnson County Schools was the one that showed us around the day I went. And I stuck with him because I'm facilities chairman of the committee here in Wayne County facilities, not the school board facilities, but Wayne County. And my question was, to him is that this school was built in 2001, how many complaints or problems was he aware of where they had problems with students crossing from one school to another, and had they had any problems of that sort? And he said, to my knowledge, there's not been one report since 2001. And I can see why, because everything, the athletic fields are so far away from each other, you know, you almost have to have a golf cart to get there, even if you're young, you know. But the other people need to understand that security is in this school. The second thing is that I was having lunch Sunday, and of all things, I had a citizen come up to me and say, Mr. Mayor, I want to ask you a question. He said, I want to make a suggestion. He said, when schools are built in Wayne County, and of course the evacuation is to move when a tornado or something comes, move to Center Hall. He said, why don't we put extra thick walls and rebar construction in all around those kids while they're there? Well, you just answered that question. You just answered the question that I was asked this past Sunday at lunch. So I see a lot of good things. Yeah, there may be some things that we might want to change to fit our particular situation, but this is what's going on right now before our eyes. This is the future that's already here. And we in Wayne County really need to take a look at this and just educate ourselves to what this is about and how it can be beneficial. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Aycock?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll keep mine short. The Grantham citizens in the Grantham community have been very patient over the years. They've needed a school for several years. I just hope that this board and the Board of Education and the citizens of Grantham community, when all put our heads together, and the bottom line is, this is all about the children. The children are our future. I mean, that school, look at the age of us other than Mr. Pate. That school's not going to benefit us a whole lot. But really, this is about the future.
Thank you, Mr. Aycock. Mr. Bell?
Yes, just for the benefit of the two ladies back there, can this school be built by 2025? Just having a little fun.
Mr. Kumar?
First, I'd like to say to the gentleman, I think you've given an excellent presentation. Obviously, you've done this before. And to our teachers in Grantham, ladies sitting out there, I smile when I say this. I read all of your emails. I'm not a great email returner. I'm not that gifted with all that. Just a little bit of a joke. I've known people who typed little emails up and thought they were sending them somebody and they went somewhere else, and so I'm reluctant to do that. You just have to forgive me. I, like everyone else, is very interested in Grantham having a school. The only thing that I'll say today is, and I don't mean this to be negative, I wish that the school board was sitting here hearing the same presentation. I don't want people getting this at different times. I want everybody to get it so that no one will feel left behind. Now, and I say this with, I think that this board and the school board, when they hear this, can understand what I'm talking about. We simply need to get on the same page. I welcome the day that the members who are as passionate about what this design is can lay it out and persuade anyone else if that's what you truly feel. Now, I'm wanting Grantham to have a new school, but I do want everyone to feel very comfortable with what it is. And, you know, if you can, I think I heard you say that you have some schools in place that the middle school part is already there waiting down the road for the elementary part. Is that what I understood, some of this? I just think we can all get together and resolve this in a very amicable manner. And I love to debate just a little bit with Mr. Daugherty. He speaks about the fact that he comes straight at it because he's a businessman. Well, in education, we pride ourselves on being politically correct most of the time. So that's thank you.
Anyone else? Everyone else?
I did have one
Go ahead,
question.
Mr. Dodd.
Am I correct in saying that this plan has already been approved by the Department of Public Instruction in North Carolina?
Yes, sir, it has, many times.
And would that not save us some time to go ahead and start construction if we've got a plan that's already been approved by the Department of Public Instruction?
They will they approve each plan, even though it may be identical to one done 2 years before.
So it may not
But
save us time.
Each time, Department of Public Instruction for a new school, in my experience, usually takes about 30 days. We'll actually send them plans before we're completely done to get their review comments. So we kind of finish at the same time, so it's not really a time situation.
Okay.
The Department of Insurance may take 2 months. We may have to go back and forth a couple of times. This particular site has a little area that's wet. We need to figure that out. Worst case scenario, if there were mitigation involved, it might take 6 months. But if we get started early, we can incorporate a lot of that time into the design time. So, you know, I think, you know, we just did a high school in Bertie County. We had it designed and permitted in less than 4 months. So we can get it done.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is all that discussions, because that'll wrap us up. And I would like to thank Jimmy for coming, but I do have my comment section, so if you would allow me. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
We were in comment section, so.
I didn't know we were in the comment.
Yes, sir. Everybody was good. You go right ahead.
Okay, I just had one other thing that I want to mention, which could or could not have an effect on everything that we talked about today. But on Tuesday, June 25th, I was able to go out to Wayne Memorial Hospital to find out information about the Affordable Care Act. And this was put on by the Chamber here in Wayne County. One thing we need to remember, and this is, I'm looking at the advertisement and brochure. No matter what you call it, the Affordable Care Act will affect everyone's business, large or small. Come learn what healthcare reform means to you and your company's bottom line. So this was a very, very informative forum as to what we as a county, all businesses are going to be facing in 2014 with affordable health care, with the Affordable Care Act. So the question is how is it going to affect us? If this is true, if that is going to affect us, the question is how. So what I'm hoping and praying is that nothing that we do as a state, county, or from Congress does anything to stop the economic growth, as little as it is, that we're experiencing at this time. because if our economy doesn't keep growing, then where does that put us at trying to fund the schools that we have just been looking at for the next 15 to 20 years? So I just wanted to make that comment that this was a great healthcare forum. There's a lot of good information, and probably it's going to affect the county also. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. It's 7 o'clock, and I promise not to keep you longer than 7:30. How about that?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Spade.
before you finish, I didn't realize we were in the comment section yet either. I do have a couple of things. I want to talk about.
Yes, sir.
But,
I know all of you doing this on purpose to cut me off, but go right ahead. That's all right.
As you know, the economy is sort of a hobby of mine. You know, I've been working with it for many, many years. And while some say we may be coming out of recession, I'm not so sure that's true. The UI rates came out today for the counties, and Wayne County went from 8.5 to 9%, which is nearly 5,000 people unemployed in our county. And that's pretty significant. Until you get down below 7%, you're not doing well. And we're heading in the wrong direction. We're above the state at 8.9. Surrounding counties, Johnson's at 8, Wilson 13, Lenore 9.7, Duplin 9.1, and Scotland led the state at 16.2. We were number 35. So that doesn't look good for us. And then our sales tax receipts have dropped some a little bit. So we need to keep a close eye on that. But I just wanted to bring that up because I'll keep a close eye on that from month to month. Just, again, old habits die hard. Secondly, guys, we got to pray for our farmers that it quits raining. I mean, our crops are getting in bad shape out there. Even tobacco's about had as much rain as it can have. I talked to Kevin Johnson today about it. And the wheat crop, a lot of it's still in the field out there, and they've already lost, what's in the field probably lost 25% of the value of it already. And he said it's going down each day, so afraid it dries up. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments? From what I've heard tonight, my comment section part would be, why is it taking so long? And I say that with a good heart. Because they've been doing this for a long time, from the history that we've been given. But I'm very familiar with the project, very familiar with the developer who ran for governor not long ago, Mr. Fred Smith and his group in Johnston County. Very familiar with the superintendent school system and very familiar with principals and teachers in Johnston County. I'm very familiar with a lot of other counties also because of the jobs, the business that I used to be in finding and locating car washes all over the southeastern United States and building those for others, logistically finding the best location in reference to traffic, commercial, residential, transition, the transportation being whether it was where they were shoppers or residential or transient. And listening to Mr. High, I met him the other day on the phone and spent some time with him yesterday. And he wanted to go out to the site, and it was raining. And we went on 13, and we drove around a loop road, and it was raining. We both had two umbrellas and blowing, and the umbrellas were depleting, and it was a mess. But we stood outside, and he kept walking around and looking, and as we said about a good farmer, we'll get out and taste it and look at it, stand on it, stomp it, kick it, feel it. And he said, this is a great piece of property. And then he looked and he said, you know, you've got 13 over there. You got that main highway, because I took him around the fairgrounds and he followed me out the long way. And then we went around Loop Road. First thing he said is, I'm not sure which would be the safest place for the buses. He said, I need to think about what DOT is going to do with 13 or Loop Road. I need to wonder about the parents getting in and out of this piece of property. And he was just saying that while he was standing there next to me. And I knew right then he knew what he was talking about, because I've been doing that for 30 years, about finding places that are successful so people could wash cars and wash thousands of them. But I also liked his idea when he talks about the area that the homes, are they 136,000, 165,000? Are they beginner homes? Are they homes of 250,000 or 300,000? Are they first-time home buyers that have the tricycles and the bicycles? Because we're talking about an elementary school, we're talking about at a middle school. We're talking about people that this is their first home, they're just having babies, they've got those kids, and they've dropped them off at one school, and they're turning and circling around and picking up another one, and they want them safe while they go back to work. So we talked about logistics, and I'd like to hear him talk about how he knows all of this, because we had a commissioner that asked, is it DPI approved? That's Division of Public Instruction. And to design something like this, he has to know, or his company has to know, the logistics of what DPI means. How many square feet do you have in a room per child? I was with some gentlemen, these commissioners, when we went, and I asked where the EC kids were. The gentleman that was with us, I said, I want to see where the EC kids are. He said, well, let me show you how this is designed for these EC kids. They open up the store. They don't like to do things differently. They open this door, they go in this restroom, they come back out. This is a play area that they go out and play. So they do the same thing. They're special children. And it was designed for special children. And we were talking about that, how you pulled right up on the STEM program. And if that hadn't been one of the hottest topics in the last 3 years in Wayne County, that in education, that's what this board has pushed, is the STEM program and the STEM program. And the commissioners have stayed right here with them and pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. And I'm going to commit right now that I'm willing to push it harder than they did, because I was just as big of an advocate as they were or they are. And to see the STEM being brought out. The cafetorium, is that what you called it? I remember seeing the stages on the side, and I walked in and I asked one of the commissioners to come up and look how deep this stage is where this cafeteria is, where you can move the food in and out, and then you can move the kids out, and then you can put the parents and watch them on the stage. Watch them perform. And there's where your arts are. That's where your dancers, and that's where you learn. That's where your band. That's where your kids learn. And then, of course, our commissioners the other day made a motion to amend the motion that we cut $500,000 at administration cost that went along with our vote. Ben, I asked, what happens when you put two schools out? He had the answers. This is what you do. This is how you run the school. You might have two cafeterias, but this is how you do it. This is how it's built. You have two principals. But unless he knows how DPI runs the system, how do you know all of these things? How do you know how to put them all together to make it all work, to sustain it? And I'm going to finish up with what Commissioner, I'm going to get away from the kids, and I won't finish it up, and I'm going to get a little passionate about the money and the dollar and the property taxes and the lack of building and the lack of sales tax receipts and the lack of sustainability. That's where my passion is, Mr. Pate. Is I hate to see the unemployment rate. July 1, the unemployment, there's a lot of money that's not going to be paid out of here Friday and Saturday that people are getting used to. That rate is not going to stay there. That rate will move further north because of what has just happened July 1. They've cut the unemployment rate benefits. That is going to stop. But what gets me excited here is to see that If you build it, they will come here, Grantham, building homes, building affordable homes. It's going to create jobs. And as we build those new homes, those affordable homes, for those first-time home buyers, because they get 30-year financing, they get 100% financing, they get FHA, VA, they get that special kiddie loan that is affordable for those that are starting their first home. And that's what this is all about. And then you start seeing those developments. And then you start seeing the jobs. The bricklayers, the roofers, the carpenters. And then you start seeing your sales tax receipts go up. And then you start seeing those out there who want a sewer line to want to build a food line or want to build a restaurant. And you see that. And you see, as one of our citizens said tonight, as it builds west, you start seeing those areas build over a 10 or 15 or 20 years from now. And then you see a high school 10, 15, 20 years from now. And there you have your community. And that's what I get excited about, because that's community. That's not a bad dream. That's good vision. That's vision. That's all I have to say. And my comments. Thank you very much for coming tonight. Again, we appreciate everyone coming. I think that's the conclusion of their business comments, unless we have anything from our county manager or from our council.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Mayo.
make a motion with adjourn.
Motion is made that we adjourn. All those in favor, stand up and raise your hand.
Stand up.